Let's go. So, we're learning the Holy Tanya, Perek Shmini, Givaldik, the 8th Perek, and we are eating up these delicious words of Torah and clarifying. Can we learn Chochmas Goyim? Can we learn the science? Yeah,
the science.
The science. You know, they made a whole thing about this with MASHA Fauci and all these guys. You know, during the last few years.
Science.
The science, like it's like some holy grail, when it's really a bunch of guys just trying to make some money out there in their lab suits.
Or something. I don't know what it is.
Or something. Yeah, a lot of craziness.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, it was crazy. But obviously there are people who are real scientists and actually care about healing and helping people, which we don't know who those people are.
No.
Those kind of people don't get famous. Masha'en came b'chochma umas hu malbish b'tamei bechinis Chabad shebenafsha helikus. Not so in the case of science of the nations, thereby one clothes and defiles his defined soul's faculty of Chabad. You see, there's something that it ruins the helikus shabo. It doesn't have the purity. We're learning right now in Pashas Tetzaveh, everyone's talking about kasis lemor, shemen zayis zach, the pure oil. Shemen zayis zach is Rabbi Leib Eger's. The idea of Rabbi Leib Eger was a Talmud of the. It's important to bring some other Chassidus just to give context.
The Choser?
He was originally the Choser. I mean, he never actually. I don't think he actually met him, as far as I know. He was a Talmud of Simcha Bunim.
Simcha Bunim, that's what it was.
Yeah, and Betzescha and the Kotzka and the Izbich.
Book, The Quest.
He used to daven in the Choser base midrash. There's a famous story. That's where he sort of got carved in Lublin by the Choser's base midrash by the Chassidim there. They carved him because he was coming from a Misnagdisha house. And he got involved with Kotzk and then eventually Izvich. And his Chavrusa was Rav Tzadok HaKohen. But one of the things he says about Shemen Zayis Zach, and you can see by who he was learning from, and the fact he was an Einikul from Rabbi Akiva Eiger as well, meant his Chochmah was pure. It was pure Chochmah. There was no messing around. There was no learning, reform or like Svarim Chitzonim, as they would say.
Right.
And I remember Dr. Tversky himself said to me once that because I asked him about Das Torah, and he said that Das Torah is the Stipler going. Das Torah is Ramesh Feinstein. Nowadays, with Chaim Knesset, he's not here, but his Talmidim or whoever's the Rabbonim, so why these Rabbonim? So because they never learned Svarim Chitzonim. So someone like me, who learned Svarim Chitzonim, learned Chochmas Umas Olam for the sake of Panas and other reasons I did it, to help people, I'm not Das Torah in that sense. I don't have that pure Das because I mixed it up with other stuff. That's what he said about himself. Yeah? Wow. But he still obviously gave a lot of advice and helped, hundreds of thousands of people through his books, and it's Torah and it's still Eitzot, but it's not pure Das Torah. It's not the Shemen Zayis Zach of bli any impurities, any pasolas. There's a certain purity in terms of when we go to a big godel that they've maintained. They didn't sit in university v'chuli, yeah. So, but the Lubavitch Rebbe did go to university, so it's quite a shayla on the cash.
Yeah, but here he's saying betumas klipas noga shebachach maselu. So it has the impurity of the klipas noga and these forms of wisdom. Again, what do we learn about bechinas klipas noga? Is that it's a thin veil, or it's whatever it is we want to call
it. Translucent. Yeah.
And the idea is that we can elevate it.
That's another word there. Yeah.
I think I forgot how the Tanya worded it, but we can elevate it into klipas noga is like that in between thing where you can elevate it. He said klipa noga.
He just says it. Doesn't say.
But we can elevate it into a kedusha dika klipa.
Yeah. All right, because that's in the end I understand what Dr. Tversky and what Tzaddikim are saying, but the idea of pure chokhmah. But what you're now saying is more where I have to live, being about tshuva, because otherwise I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't, as Bart Simpson once said. Yeah, remember that? Damned if I do, and damned if I don't. Yeah, it sort of puts us in a difficult place, because what are we going to do with all this chokhmah that we picked up? I had the schist or the chesaron to learn Nietzsche and all this kind of nonsense back in the day. Yeah. So what am I going to do with those years of learning philosophy that probably not the most spiritually healthy stuff? Yeah. So what's the answer? Let's read ahead. Shenofu shama b'shviras hakelim. we don't have to always like answer everything straight away. We can put out the questions, you know.
Right.
I'm just saying one opinion, and you've brought another opinion, and the Baba Sheba did go to university, so let's work it out. Shinofa Shama B'Shveres HaKelim B'Chinas Achraim Shal Chochma Kedusha Ki Yidua Chain. These signs have fallen through the shattering of the vessels out. The hinder part of the Chochma of holiness is known to those familiar with Kabbalah. Chain is, we learned in the Kutamam what Chain is, Chochma Tamalchus, Kabbalah.
Wait, he has a lot of stuff here. Chaim Miller.
I'm sure.
Shenaflu Shama Shviros Gar, because their secular wisdom has fallen there to the realm of Klipas Noga through Shviros HaKelim.
Yeah.
One of the secrets of creation revealed by the Kabbalah, is the shattering Shviros HaKelim. Okay?
Right.
Okay, right. This is the This basically says how Hashem created the world, and since the Keser was the purest and clearest of all the Kalim, couldn't hold the light, it smashed Chachma and Bina through the translucent. Though men translucent, therefore we're not like Keser.
Translucent, yeah.
Not having enough capacity. Their backs broke and they fell from their position.
Okay, without getting into all these fluffy words, what do you get out of it?
I don't know, nothing so far.
Okay, so just a lot of words.
No, I'm just curious if he has. This is just an explanation.
Sometimes he says something that's really pointful, but this is a bit too much word. I mean, I understand why he's an academic again. Like, as much as he's a chassid.
Here we go. This is the important part.
Okay, let's hear.
While sacred in origin, the falling of these shattered vessels, meaning the Shviros HaKelim, the Kelim themselves, gave rise to the Klipas. Right, he's explaining where Klipas are coming from. The Klipas came from basically the light tried to hold the Or Ein Sof, I think it was, and then the shatter of the vessels.
The Kelim,
and then they fell. So these Klipas came from the Kelim themselves, since the vessel fragments contained an overwhelming amount of mass, self-awareness, and only a tiny glimmer of light, right? Because I had so much.
Yeah.
Therefore, earthly secular knowledge, which was a product of the shattered vessels of Chachma and Bina, has a propensity towards self and ego and tends to contaminate the mind away from God consciousness.
And he would know that firsthand because he went to university and he went to Haberdashers.
So what he's saying is that it's not necessarily...
He's seen how the English academic world works, where the guy ends up becoming a statue in some building and is remembered for eternity in those hallowed halls, which are not so hallowed anymore.
I guess does it come from the Chachma and Bina of the...
Firsthand.
Or the Klipa of... The Klipa of the Shmutz and then the Klipa not the Shmutz. The Klipa Noga, we said, is from where? The Klipa of the...
We said if we're going to talk about Klipas Noga again, we're going to get back to it's the Nefesh Behemoth of a Yid.
It's the Nefesh Behemoth, right.
Of a Yid. If we're going to classify each thing, and keep it in that system of tablud, or whatever the word is, formation. The main point is, though, what we're seeing is that there was fallen sparks of Chochmah came out from the backside of Chochmah, not the Ponim Ponim.
Their backs broke.
The Moshe Rabbeinu kind of Chochmah. It's not the Shem and Zayis Zach Chochmah. So there is point to label Eger's Torah that we want pure Chochmah to light up the menorah to
came out of the backside.
Because remember, the menorah brings down Chochmah to all the other levels. That's the concept.
Oh, it's here.
That's the concept of the menorah, this week's parsha, to bring down and light up all the other Thruas Elyonim, all the other parts of Am Yisrael, the Midos. It has to come from a pure place. And we know that if you go to the Kodesh Kadoshim, the Holy of Holies is obviously even higher level of purity. Yeah?
Right.
So this is a place where the shorish of all the Chochmah and Panemius comes from is the Kodesh Kadoshim, Nine Panim, and it comes manifest through the light of the menorah into all the other Midas. So the base of English is like a microcosm, the macrocosm of how the world should ideally be, that everything goes back to the shorish of the purity. Sound a bit like Russell Brand right now, the way he waffles on. Yeah?
The waffles. He does waffle.
Yeah, he waffles on. He has these long, elongated, whatever the word is, sentences.
Yeah.
And he just keeps speaking.
And he says a lot of fancy words.
He does.
And elongated and breaking in the box. And you see,
he does it with that big white, smiley, pearly
to realise that
teeth.
there was a holy one above me and then round and around.
And we need more communal. individual responsibility.
Individual sacral sacrifices of the own self-awareness of the ego as we dissipate into the own awareness.
Yeah. It's funny how he's become more spiritual. He's like become a bit like a guru or something.
Yeah, that's what he has.
Yeah, from like the most licentious lifestyle to...
Yeah. I think he went into recovery. That's why he got sober.
Spiritualized him.
AA is...
it does that to people.
AA is mamish. It's a holy place. I've seen the inside of these places.
That's one reason why I quote Dr. Tversky, because he's the real deal.
Yeah.
He was a big Rabbi Tversky. He's also a rabbi as well. Unless one employs them as useful instrument. Here we go. So this is where the Lubavitch Rebbe comes into university in Berlin back in the day. Unless one employs them as a useful instrument, as a means of earning a more affluent lifestyle, which will be able to use to serve Hashem. So the Lubavitch Rebbe used to make, he was involved with high-level engineering. He used to make boats and submarines. Yeah, through the not make them, but the what do you call it? The engineering behind it, and that helped the American Army during the Second World War, etc. He used it for good things, and he got paid for it also. And I think he used that money for Chabad. Yeah, I don't think he lived it up in any way or form. So it was all completely for Hashem. So that's the concept. You take the science, you use it to help the sides of good in the world, and therefore get panasa from it. So obviously you're not going to go work for like Hamas and then use that money to support your shul, yeah, because now you're helping an organization that's killing people, yeah.
Right. So
even if you get panasa, it doesn't excuse. Money is not an excuse. Like people always say, business, but there's also shulchan aruch. You have to remember that.
Yeah.
So you can't just work in whatever mafanas is. You have to look at what you're working at. I mean, one of my wealthy family members who's actually asking us to send more pictures right now. I'm looking for my son because such unbelievable pictures from. I have to show you a bit more. Maybe I'll show you now, just quickly while we're on this discussion. But like he told me, I wanted to work with him, and he said, no, it's too schmutzig for your soul. That's what he said to me. So I didn't do it in the end. Like I listened and I didn't work with him, and he's done really well. He's got businesses and like. His point was that some businesses are not for everyone. Like
property.
Yeah. No,
what's this?
This is my son. Like
why is there?
Yeah, this could be blood, graffiti. I don't know. Well noticed. These are all pictures from his chevra. That is like a movie picture. That picture, standing there looking perfect. Look at that with all the destruction around.
Is this on a phone? Or is it on the GoPro?
GoPro, I think.
GoPro.
Yeah, that's why the picture's going to be a much higher quality now. We've got the GoPro. Or even we got better than a GoPro. That's my Rebbe in Yerushalayim. I went there last night. And that's me waiting for you this morning.
Oh, you went?
With the flowers.
You went last night?
Yeah. You're always welcome to come, by the way, if you ever want to come.
What does it say up there?
That's...
Ve'elecha amarti.
Yeah, Ha'eshli. And then I got so many other pictures like from him. And that's by Rabbi Nachman. There's Azar, then there's Rabbi Nachman. In the middle of Azar, in Kan Yunis. And then there's so many amazing pictures. And
to be Makadosh, everything.
Yeah, it's like beyond.
Mataharet.
This whole situation is beyond. You know, I could just sit here for hours looking at his pictures. I've got like thousands.
Yesterday I went in and I saw Rabbi Meyer.
Yeah.
And then I met with Reb Meilech, not Reb Meilech, Reb Gamliel. So first we went to Rabbi Meyer.
Gamliel's very special.
And then went to Rabbi
He must be old now. I haven't seen him for years. I used to see him all the time. I used to go to Shirim sometimes, and Mir Shirim and stuff.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like in a proper, like Yushami Shurs, Geschmack. And
he's so funny.
Yeah, he's got a sense of humor. He was very close with Wallenstein. Wallenstein was Wallenstein's Rebbe. He's very special. I've got a few of his books in English. They're very, very good.
Yeah, he gave me one of the books.
The Munah?
I don't know. I took one for my kids.
Good. Yeah, they're important. Well, the science of that. Unless employs them as useful instruments. So you have to cut it up. Unless he knows how to apply them in the service of God or better understanding of his Torah. He utilizes mathematics to better understand the laws of sanctification of the new moon, for example. Yeah, look, I do feel that even the soldiers, for example, the ones who have Yiddishkeit, it's going to help them. and I've seen the good hashpah they've had on the others. Because when you have a certain understanding of Torah, it gives you a certain respect to authority and bittul, like as we're learning here. There's a certain system. Whereas if you've been told that the army and the authorities don't know what they're doing and everything needs to be destroyed, like this whole woke thing, and we need to remake society and get rid of all the norms, and then it's like some communist revolution, but all it's doing is just undoing what's good. It's not helping anything. It's just removing the good as well. And that's where they're all shakranim. So you have to be careful when you're learning this stuff, not to pick up because unfortunately a lot of people are coming out of university brainwashed by the wokeism of our generation. So they're not just going to learn science. No, they're going to go learn lesbian dance theory, as Ben Shapiro always brings up. Yeah, it's like, what can you do with lesbian dance theory? Honestly, yeah, like maybe you can help a lesbian
next level.
Yeah, but like what are you supposed to do with it? The world needs people who are educated in real things that really help society go forward, not go backwards or worse. Yeah, like it's become demonic a little bit. So we have to get out of that negative academic cycle that's going on. And there is a movement, thank God, against it. There are people opening up their own academic places which are not influenced by these wokeist nonsense radicals, whatever they are.
So to speak, colleges are.
Yeah, they need to cleanse themselves because they've got pulled into it, and it's not going to help them. Because it's a force that destroys. It's like evil destroys itself. Like a MASHA killed himself or destroyed himself. I don't know exactly how he died, but he died. And the reason is because evil destroys itself ultimately. He became completely consumed with his evil. And this way of being is against...
Well, in a way, Hamas is also destroying themselves.
Yeah, also. If they would just surrender.
By them carrying out that attack, the evil that they perpetrated...
No, but they still haven't surrendered. And they're saying if they were given the opportunity, they'd carry on. They do worse. That was just a rehearsal. That's what they said.
That's what people don't realize also. They're saying surrender.
Peace. Yeah, there's no surrender with these guys.
The Germans surrendered. They said, we surrender.
Yeah, because the MASHA in the end destroyed himself. So then who was left?
Also because Britain carpet bombed all of Germany.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It wasn't like they came in with, with shalom now while they're in the middle of a war.
They created a humanitarian corridor. They just flew over Germany and they just carpet bombed the place, killing everyone.
They showed no weakness.
Right.
That's Winston Churchill.
Right.
Someone who was on the right path at that time.
Right.
And that's what we need now. And to resolve this kind of mindset of just, we have to destroy our enemy. There's no option. They're not allowing themselves to be surrendered or talked to. They just want our destruction. That's all they want. There's no and even their followers in the world say the same thing. It's not like they're saying something different. No, we don't agree. Hamas has gone too far. They're on Hamas's side. They want to destroy Israel from living here. So therefore, as a nation, we have to protect ourselves. What is the option? So this is the kind of discussions we have to have. But the problem is already that is a certain blemish in Chochmah. Why? Because the Torah is pure. The Torah explains, Am Yisrael were chosen from the nations. Yeah, we were chosen as to be an Or Lagoim and to have a Torah Kedosha and to live in Eretz Yisrael. In the end, there's no discussion. Hashem can give the land to whoever He wants, and if He wants us to live here, to keep Torah mitzvahs, we will live here. And end of story. That's the end of story. That's the beginning, first Rashi, and that's the end of the sugya. We go back to Torah. We don't need to justify our reason to be here. This is our homeland, and Hashem is the king, and He decides who lives here. And He will decide that we'll be successful here if we're supposed to be successful here. And we have to get back to the Torah, back to Hashem, all these discussions, and not get pulled into these campuses and these academics who are filled with ego and their own agendas of all kinds of financial reasons why they want to say what they say. They don't say it l'shem shamayim. They don't do what they do l'shem shamayim.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're mostly morally corrupt also. They don't live moral lives.
Right.
So then they have no ability to speak to us until they either humble themselves to the fact that we're the people of truth. And if they don't humble themselves, then there's no discussion, because then they're acting as virtual singling that they're the righteous people. They're the moral.
Right.
And they're not. It's just obvious in the fact, the way they've confused genders and the way they've all the different lack of morality that was always clear for all the generations till the last 20 years. So you have to use these chokhmas without bringing in all this nonsense to serve Hashem. To make a panasa. So then there are many examples of this where people are using the online
Ben Shapiro
skills.
He's serving Hashem in his own way.
He became a lawyer, a Harvard lawyer. He didn't bring with him what he learned from any of the Krum professors over there. He was clever enough to dissect it and just realize it's nonsense.
Feels like all the professors there at Krum.
He managed to reject a lot of their premises and their ways. Like he even had that funny Elizabeth Warren as one of his people over there, and he had discussions with her. He said she was actually better when she was in Harvard. Once she came out into politics, she became a complete loony.
Right.
Like he was able to dissect and reject. There is such a thing as doing birurim on these people, but the problem is it can start to rub off on you a little bit. You have to be careful. And I just hope that he's always, keeps Yashar. And I think the key to him being Yashar would be the fact that he's connected to Das Torah, like Rebbe from Goldberg and other Rabbonim. Right. He'll keep his connection with those kind of Rabbonim who are Torah Dika people. Some people have chiluk on them, by the way. There are people in the film world who have issues with those Rabbonim in Boca Raton.
There will always be people in the film world who have issues with other people in the film world.
So then, but you have to. I'm just saying, you always have to keep seeking out the truth. That's the point.
Yeah.
And I believe that those kind of Rabbonim are seeking out the truth. They're just doing it on a public level, which gives them a lot of scrutiny. Right. This is the reason why Maimonides, Rambam, and Nachmanides, the Ramban, are best made the peers engaged in them in the science. They're able to utilize knowledge themselves as God and Torah. This was shown him. Right. They were huge moyach. They were able to learn this and not get pulled down. So it says, regarding that which was stated at the beginning of this chapter, that a thing proven by rabbinic enactment remains attached to the three unclean klipa, and come out of tonus, even when it's used unwittingly for the sake of heaven, the point is worth relating. Let's hear that now. This is a story. A chassid one came to the Alter Rebbe, lamenting the fact that his son-in-law was subject to periods where he would doubt his faith. He had a problem in the Emunah. The Alter Rebbe responded, the son-in-law unwittingly consumed milk. It's a famous story in Chabad, which was milked by a non-Jew, with no Jew in attendance. Basically, it was chalav akum. Though he was unaware of this fact, the prohibition against such milk was only rabbinic origin. Like Moshe Feinstein, they used to say he gave a heter. It was never really clear if he really did give a heter to drink, chalav akum. Yeah, Chabad, they're very strict about this, and this story is one of the reasons. This had so strong an effect upon him that it caused him doubt in his emunah. The Alter Rebbe then proceeded to tell the chassid how the matter could be rectified, thereby healing the son-in-law with spiritual malady.
Wow.
So there's an Indian of Timtum Alei.
What's the end?
That's one of the reasons why I'm careful. Like when you buy, getting ice creams and it has.
How do you rectify the spiritual
OUD and all that kind of stuff? You start getting into complicated grounds. The main reason, my kavana, why I don't eat that like stam halav, that's
right.
Not sure if it's I mean it has a heksher. There's no treif in it, but it's called halav akum because it wasn't milked by a yid. Yeah, so I'm careful not to eat it generally because. Well, not just because of this Maisa, but because of the whole Indian of you want to protect your own heart. Like same with wine. If you drink wine that's nesach yain, what does it mess with? It messes with your heart level. Right. And your heart level, your heart and your mind are precious. Like Rogan always talks about this, why people shouldn't stay in. I know I'm bringing Rabbi Rogan again, but you shouldn't stay in the fighting world or the American football world too long, because there's only so much your head can take getting a smash in the head. Eventually you're going to ruin your mind. Right. And the mind is a precious thing. So now we as Yidden understand the next level, the Havdil, is the preciousness of the heart, the Yiddish heart. And if you consume certain foods, this is what Rogan does not know because he's not a Yid, but if you consume certain foods, it's matamtem the leiv. And then that beautiful receptacle of purity, and it can bring out the light of Chochmah into the world. If you consume the wrong food, it's metamtem the leiv, and therefore things like learning Pneumius Torah starts to get marbled, it gets confused, and then you end up with all kinds of problems in your life, with Emunah, and the most important thing is Emunah. So if you're ruining your Emunah, your system of Emunah, like I had a relative who learned, he became a rabbi a few times, he was like, Choshev got smicha by other famous rabbonim, and he ended up in a kollel learning Hakiras. So I don't know if it was food that ruined it, but he learned a lot of rationalist, like kind of Torahs, how to deal with that kind of stuff, and eventually he went off, like in terms of his shmiras and mitzvahs. I still think he's a Talmid Chacham, and deep down he's a holy person, and he has potential to Be'ez Hashem to get back involved with all of it in Yiddishkeit, and he has tremendous Torah and abilities, but it just, this nakuda of learning the wrong things, eating the wrong things, it can mess up your emunah, and your emunah is the most precious thing.
Right.
So you have to really guard. That's why Rav Shlomo, I spoke with a few times about this with Rav Shlomo Katz, he's very careful not to let any philosophy or any rationalist ways of thinking into this community, because he's seen the damage it's done to other places.
It does do.
Huh?
Said it does. That so far, right after the war, he kind of went into that whole removing of the klippas of political correctness.
Yeah,
it's crazy that klippa of political correctness is a real Indian.
Yeah, and he had to do it for himself also. It wasn't just for the community.
There's the klippa.
I don't think he had problems with philosophy, but he did have a challenge being a public rabbi, being politically correct.
Right. Yeah.
Now he's just not b'chlal.
Yeah, mamash.
And there has been some tension online. If you follow some of the comments underneath, which I do once in a while. I know Rogan says don't read the comments, but they're not about me, so I'm interested to see what people's reactions are to some of the stuff he says. And he does get some flack online.
No one really makes comments about me.
Thank God.
I have an Instagram page, but I don't even manage it.
What, Klippa?
No, for work.
Oh, are we going to build this killer Klippa page?
Killer.
No, I've set it up. I've really.
I see that.
I sent you the links. I've got an X. Everyone follow at Klippa Killer. KLIPAH.
Follow us.
Killer. I'm going to put the link in the description. We've only got 3 followers, and one of them is a friend of mine. Tanya, Klippa Killer, DM or email for lessons. Tools and paths to ancient wisdom. KlippaKiller@gmail.com.
Kill those klippas.
And you have a picture of my son who's dressed up killing klippas. And I even have like a QVR code, one of these codes.
Oh, wow.
So I sent it to you. So you can get hundreds of thousands of people on this, and we can go around killing klippas. The guy called Akiva Chaim saw it. So there's someone outside of me who's seen it. So somebody noticed. The main point is to kill the klippas. So this is a good point, ending Perek Shemini, that we're trying to kill the klippas literally, and I'm bringing up now the summary from my good friend, Rav Shmuel Diamond. Learning non-forbidden secular wisdom, forbidden due to general prohibition of bittul Torah. Learning secular wisdom with a selfish intention, that was a nakuda, causes a more severe damage than regular irrelevant speech, as it affects the intellect of the nefesh elikus with the impurity of klippas noga. Yeah, that very succinctly explained what we just learned. Not just the emotions. Unless it is being learned to secure a more comfortable livelihood to serve Hashem, which is the Lubavitch Rebbe again, this example. Yeah. The wisdom itself is being implanted directly into one's divine server, thereby improving it. And I don't think, once again, he was trying to get a livelihood for himself. He gave all his money to Chabad, everything. The reason he literally gave everything to Chabad. Nothing was about him.
He gave everything. He gave his whole guf too.
Everything. Now, we're going now to a new Perek, a new section of Tanya. We've been dealing with the holy. Remember, Perek Shemini was part of 4 Prokim, 4 to 8 Torah mitzvahs, and the opposite. We were busy with the opposite part, the last 2 Prokim, the last 2 chapters. Now we're going to go to Perek Shi, the 9th Perek, about the inner struggle with transferring. Our body boasts only one command center. Therefore, when these 2 opposite soul drives are placed together in the same body, because we were starting to get there. It's all about the heart level. We're going to go into this now. There are only 2 opposite outcomes. Either animal soul is full control, and the godly soul is the exiled Rachan's son, or the godly soul assumes total control, and the animal soul is drafted into its service. This is how he's explaining it. So he said, 2 kings, 1 city, dwelling places in the body. The nefesh Bahamas primarily resides in the left ventricle of the heart. The side connects with the blood, and from there rides to the brain and other places in the body. Intellect in the service of emotions. The nefesh elikus primarily resides in the right vehicle of the heart. The side connects with oxygen, and from there goes down to the heart and other places of the body. Emotions in the service of the intellect. So this is really what we're going to learn now. This Perek, the 9th Perek, is very important because our generation, the 9th chapter, is very into avoiding the inner self. We have to go into the inner self. We have to really get it clear. The inner struggle is where all the peiros, all the fruits of Yiddishkeit are really found, because panemius is the key for our generation. And we're going to get a very deep explanation of how the inner workings of this inner struggle go on between us and the Yetzer Hara.
Oh man.
Within, not just outside. In the previous chapter, also we elaborated on the composition of Jews' divine service with its 10 holy powers and 3 soul garments and his animal soul. With it correspond 10 powers and 3 garments of Runa and Klippa. In present chapter, the author will discuss the battle fought within the Jew between these 2 souls. Okay, very good. We're going inside now. Hine, Mocha Mishkan, Nefesh, Bahemish, Beklipas, Noga, Bechol, YISRAEL, Hu, Belev. I'm just actually going to read the original text just because it's good to actually look in the way it's written out. In Mocha Mishkan, Nefesh, Bahemish, Beklipas, Noga, Bechol, YISRAEL, Hu, Belev. Bechala Smoli. It's on the left side. What does he say? The left Smoli. I'm not looking at the translation again.
Belev,
the left ventricle. I don't know what that means, but whatever. The left side.
Mishkan,
Dam. That part of the heart is filled with blood. Considered by Dam Hu and Nefesh. And we've learned many times that the blood is the soul. That's where the Nefesh resides. Within it's filled with the blood, the left ventricle. Yeah? Yeah. It's based on a pasuk in Devarim. That's one reason why we don't eat blood. Yeah? It's issa to eat blood. Because the animal resides in the soul, in the heart. Therefore, all lust and boasting, anger, similar passions are in the heart. So this ego, this edging God out, which is what we learn from Rav Shai's Taub and other very special 12-step approaches, that we're not here to edge out God. We're here to bring God into everything. That's what I like.
It's so funny. Whenever we hear like some story of a person doing his own, shmutzadika journey, it's always like I have to follow my heart. I have to follow my heart.
No, but that's not true.
Why?
Because it could be following the ego.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So the answer is he has to follow the godly heart. To follow the godly heart. You know what really clarified me with the other religions? Why I didn't become a Yoshkanek? Because they tried very hard at university to get me to join their cults. Big time. They
never tried to recruit me.
I was a very open soul. I used to go to these cafes and perform music and poetry.
Guy.
And they used to come up to me and but you probably made fun of them. I don't mean to be rude, but I've sensed you probably were a little bit humorous to them and they were like, wait, this guy's too hard to crack.
It's too hard to crack.
Whereas me, I was like, I have a love, hippie, long hair, that whole thing. Like this starry-eyed, that was like perfect material for their cult. So they come and grab me and they like bring me to their Yoshka meeting, and the guy kept standing there pointing at himself. There was pretty girls around me. That was definitely a motivation. And then there was this guy standing there pointing at himself again and again the whole time during the meeting. And the more he kept pointing at himself, banging his chest, I was like, this is all ego. One, they worship a man anyway, so that's already stupid. But this ego. Yeah, it's properly ego.
This was in the times where cults were the coolest thing.
And these guys running it are all ego. And I had this Muslim guy saying, Moshe Beard Day, and they're trying to get me to come. And I had pictures of videos of Jews who joined Islam, wearing their talesim, but yet now they're allegiance to the Prophet and all this stuff. I said, this is all ego again.
Schmutz.
It's all ego. Every single place I walked in, even the more spiritual group, kind of guys, the ancient. Some had one guy who's really into ancient Indian, religions, all these self-help stuff. And I saw him. He was 5 different people in one person. He was a chameleon.
Wow.
He was so ego-based, and it just became an obvious trend. And all these people, that there's always this head ego over there. And then once there's an ego, then that's not spirituality. Because what do we learn from YITZCHAK? Who's the big tzaddik at the top? He's bottled himself to Hashem. There's no ego. He's edged his ego out, and he's totally with Hashem. That's what Am Yisrael makes that chiluk. And that's when I knew I was by the right thing. Once they exposed the ego for what it was, called the Yetzirah, and it's in the left side of the heart, then I knew, now we're talking. Now we're getting
That's interesting, because last night I went to Rabbi Meyer, and if I would have to explain Rabbi Meyer in the world, which may be a chas v'shalom to even do that, is just bittul.
Bittul, exactly.
He's just pure bittul.
Yeah.
You can see, he's in a state of bittul.
Yeah, same with my Rebbe.
Utter bittul.
You saw the pictures of my Rebbe I showed you just before? He's just sitting there in a state of Yerushalayim.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And it's not about him.
So holy.
They're just not into themselves.
Their iCloud storage is full of garbage. That's what they didn't say. They just said full.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's him?
That's my Rebbe.
He looks. Wait. Which one?
That's his father. He's the son-in-law of the Rebbe.
Oh,
Spiegel.
wow.
He's the head of the Rav
Spiegel.
of 5 towns. You heard of 5 towns?
Don't get ripped off, it says. Oh, Rabbi Spiegel.
Yeah, that's Rabbi Spiegel. That's his son. And his grandson married into Vishnitz. Sarah Vishnitz. That's his son. Look how big the Stroman is now.
That is a sweet Stroman. Yeah.
Huge. The father went up to me before the Simcha. This guy, the Spiegel, his son, Naftali Spiegel, came up to me and said, by the way, I want to let you know all my family love your Stromal. They wish that we could...
Oh, what's with your Stromal?
This kind of Stromal. Baal Shem Tov, tiny little Stromal.
Oh, the tiny Stromal.
Yeah, the old school.
I love
the way
that
it was back in the day. All these giant, huge ones, bigger than Spodix. And, here's a picture of me, like, rocking my old Stromal.
Oh, I love that Stromal.
Yeah, I'm going to use that for a podcast, this picture. Because I'm doing a podcast with Francesca. You heard of her?
Francesca, no.
Okay, good. It's not famous, so. But it'll be good. It'll be a good episode because we're going to discuss real stuff, hopefully. That's the
real talk.
Yeah. I'm not interested in being famous. I'm interested in telling you into the truth. So anyway, the point is that... Right. From the heart they spread throughout the entire body. So this blood, obviously, the lust and the anger goes throughout the body. Like my wife always says, whenever she used to get angry, she hasn't got angry for a long time, she's really worked on herself. But when she used to, a long time ago, she said it feels like another spirit takes over you, like a demon or something. And afterwards, you feel energized in the moment, and suddenly you feel completely de-energized afterwards.
Right. You feel wiped out.
Also right into the brain, to think and meditate about them, to become cunning in them. So you see what it does? It manipulates the whole. It's a war base, and in a war, it takes over. It's like it just made a full aggressive advance on this person's soul, pushed out the soul, took over the heart, then influenced how the mind's thinking, and to become cunning in evilness. Note the difference in expression. The emotion is merely spread to all the other organs, but rise to the brain. An emotion simulated in the intellect, and indeed rise and elevated. Even in the case of the animal soul, where the intellect is merely the tool of emotion.
Wow.
For the essential nature of intellect is more refined than that of motion. In regard to the blood mentioned presently, the expression rises is again used specifically in connection with the brain. The blood, too, is elevated, refined from ascending to the brain. So it's this whole, just like the blood's going around the body, so too the YITZCHAK thoughts and ways of being is running around the body. Yeah?
I think it's also there's this Indian of like the animal soul is resting in the left chamber of his Bechalal Smali.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It's sitting in his left heart. Is it just I would try to understand it.
We have a left heart and a right heart.
But that I know.
Chol Levavcha, 2 bases.
Yeah,
the bases are connected to Kalim that hold the YITZCHAK, YITZCHAK. So it says in Gemara, in Brachas, and
I guess our heart is
serve
the
Hashem.
chamber.
Chol Levavcha, both the YITZCHAK and YITZCHAK have to serve Hashem. That was the majority of Avinu.
I think it was Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan.
Yeah.
Yeah, in one of his books, in one of his Sefarim, he I don't remember which one. He talks about like who are you? I think it's like almost in the introduction. He tries to figure out like who are you? Are you when I say like what are you? Who are you? And he goes to this like little shock of like are you your body? No. Are you your brain? No. Are you your fingers? No. Like why? Like he's like people have heart surgery. They can have a heart transplant. You're the same person. Like, someone could have a brain transplant. So with the same person.
I don't know if we managed to figure that out yet. But
well, he figured that out. Isn't that crazy in that book?
Yeah.
Meaning they could do it technically.
Oh, technically, yeah.
Person will still be alive. They're still.
I heard the liver. If you put a little bit of liver inside a guy, it grows back.
To
normal size.
Yeah.
Crazy. But the concept in the end.
My son loves chopped liver.
Oh yeah, me too. The concept, especially when my grandma used to make it, was one of the few kosher foods I grew up with. It was vadai kosher for my grandma, thank God.
Goose liver.
Fish balls as well. I was crazy for fish. Any kosher food I was crazy about.
Yeah, fish balls.
Because my nephesh needed kosher food. It was only when I became like a whacked out teenager that I started eating all this real hardcore treif.
Then
I went I fell into really bad stuff. Like the food influenced my actions.
Yeah.
And until I purified my eating, which I did at around 15, 16, I started only eating fruit and lettuce.
Right.
I went on this extreme diet.
Yeah.
And stopped eating all kinds of trash food, and suddenly my whole life changed. I became sensitive to spirituality. I started, health-wise, skin improved. Everything became better.
That's why a lot of the
food industry has a big problem.
From like from the hippie world.
Yeah.
Like there a lot of them are into the vegan.
Yeah.
And Rav Kook talks about this too. Like Lamaisa, when a person eats a lot of basar, it is like a heavy weight on their soul. Yeah. And it brings them down spirituality. It's very hard. You have to
Rogan's the other way around. He says the meat gives him energy and empowers him. So it depends. Like if obviously for us it has to be kosher. So if eaten right,
we have to elevate we have to elevate this life force. Yeah. And a lot of people, we just eat meat. We just eat it. Right? We're not elevating it. We're not taking it. It's not like a carbon. It's not like it's just another Indian.
But remember the point here is that it turns into the blood in your heart.
Right, then it transfers into the blood.
Yeah, which is connecting the nefesh. So if it's nefesh elikus, we're eating an Hashem, or we're elevating the noga, the klipas noga to Hashem. So that's great. The problem is when it becomes nefesh bahamas, and it is empowering, like the Yetzirah or the klipas gimel tameas around the whole body. It's giving koach because we've suddenly turned it into a very low level. Or even worse, we've fallen down into treif or into not kosher food, or we're eating it for the wrong reason. We're angry. We've got bad midas, and that's spreading that blood, that negative force that's within the blood around our body and influencing our mind, and then the mind's being used for the Yetzirah, which is a problem. So we're going to go into the inner elements of the heart, and we're going to understand how this works and the goal obviously is to have the Yetzirah conquer it. So we should stop, yeah?
Yeah, I gotta go.
So, B'ez Hashem, this is going to be the next mission, the inner struggle. We're still only at the beginning of that. But the concept of now, the previous chapter of we have to really work on learning anything we learn for the sake of Avodas Hashem.
Amen.
Not getting caught up with self-interest. We have to really work on edging the ego out, not God out, and doing things on a higher level. Oh, that's sort of... wow, he really has got old. I saw him, he had a black beard. Yeah. Wow. I forget how I've been around Eretz Yisrael now, 26 years. So I used to see these tzaddikim, they were much younger. But he's still, Baruch Hashem, he looks good. He looks like he's still with it.
He was totally with it.
Baruch Hashem.
He was like, he was energized.
That's the most important thing, that they keep their health and their minds so they can carry on doing their shlichus to help Am Yisrael. We need these people. Well, I want to go to Yaakov Meir Shechter or Rav Shlomo. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. My Rebbe, Rav Moshe Weinberger, when I was in New York last week, he told me I have to start visiting Gedolim more.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
He told me, he said, you have to start going.
You should tell him you're learning with Rav Lazer Goldschmidt.
I should tell him that.
I'm just joking. He'll be like, it might tell you stop learning, so don't tell him.
Yeah,
I know, I send messages to him. He actually sends nice things back once in a while.
Yeah, he answers people.
Yeah.
He's very good.
He's very supportive.
The holiest.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.